Hi, this is Zach Meir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Monday, the 1st of July, which seems to be London Stock Exchange Suspension Day. Starting off with the FTSE, and here you can see that we've managed to, not quite crawl back inside that rising trend channel from the end of the year, but we're basically near enough. We've got support there from last month around 81.10, and we've got resistance at the 50-day line, 82.40. End of day close above the 50-day line. We're back to 8300, but not expecting the market to push much higher than that given the electoral lay of the land, and also the way the RSI is back below the 50 level, the neutral 50 level. On the downside, the worst we're expecting is a return to the April peak around 80.40 to 80.50. Moving on to the DAX, and here you can see that we've got the market managing to stay within that rising trend channel from September, but not able to either get back above the 50-day line at 18,300 on an end-of-day close basis, or get its RSI back above neutral 50. So we're really looking for RSI 50 plus and an end-of-day close above the 50-day line to give us a move up to 18,700, which is that May resistance line projection. Moving on to the Dow, and here, as we looked at it yesterday, but having another look today, we've got that, we had that outside day on Friday, but at least support was above the 50-day line there, 38,800, and above the floor of that rising trend channel from back at the beginning of August. We've also got the RSI at 53, so that does give positive momentum and suggests that while we're above the floor of the channel there, we're looking for a retest of the 40,000 zone. Moving along to the situation of Bitcoin, which has been of concern of late, and here the position is that we've bounced off the 60,000 level after a little blip below it, and we've bounced above the rising 200-day moving average rather. There's still the chance of having to test that March support line projection down to 56,000 or the 200-day line, but an end-of-day close above recent 62,600 resistance could take us up to the 50-day line, 66,400. But with the RSI below 50 at 44, we don't want to get too excited just yet. Moving on to gold, and here it's been about trying to hold above the old May support there, 2280, and while we're above that, looking for a break of the 50-day moving average in that May resistance line, 2355 now, to take us up to the highs of 2450 plus, hopefully by the end of next month now, given the slowness in the price action. Moving on to the stocks, and obviously there's a rather smaller universe than normal, given all the suspensions that we have today. Lots of people taking the credit for the latest rise, which is impressive, obviously, on their part. But we already had the shares having a target there at 0.41, which was the top of that broadening triangle from back in February, and above that looking for the next target here up to 0.53, which is the upper parallel of that triangle. And hopefully we'll hit that by the end of this month, although the way things are going, might even hit that by the end of today. Ideally, there's an end-of-day close back above the previous 0.41 target today. Only back below the initial June resistance 0.37 really delays the upside scenario. Moving on to a stock which looks as though it's getting its act together, Deltic Medical. Here we've got this rising trend channel base that's been in place since October, and you can see by the candles that we've had in recent days, most of the candles opening at the low, closing at the high, which suggests change in sentiment and significant buying above the 200-day line at 0.14, looking for up to 0.21 by the end of this month or even sooner. Another riser, which is looking quite appealing at the moment, is Eco Animal, and here we've gapped up again. We've had several gaps up, at least 2 or 3 gaps up since April, and that suggests that we're heading towards the top of a broadening triangle there from the end of 2022. That's the level there up to £1.57, and we're looking for that while we're above the 50-day moving average, currently just shy of £1.20. We already had the golden cross last month, and the shares are following through on that, as well as the RSI 50 rebound, which is also a leading indicator on the upside. Moving on to a stock which is not for widows and orphans, and some people who were caught out on the last rally may have been turned into widows and orphans, but we've gapped up here for feedback through the 50-day moving average at 77 pence. Above that, looking for the top of that rising September trend channel, 103, as a best case scenario by the end of this month. The other reason for for optimism is the way that we've got a bullish divergence line there in the RSI window, which is normally a leading indicator on the upside. Moving on to Guardian Metal, as it's now called. Here we've got the shares inching their way to new highs above 24, which was the previous target. We're looking for 32 pence by the end of this month, and obviously the way things are going, it looks as though the shares will deliver that rather sooner than that time frame. Moving on to Greatland, which has been bouncing above a rising 50-day line, and maybe with the arrival of a new CFO and the RSI being back above neutral 50 at 51, we could see the shares at least retest 7.7 pence this week, and maybe by the end of this month head up to 9 pence. But the proviso is there is no end-of-day close back below the 50-day moving average. Helium One is next with the operational update, and here market initially took it quite well. We can see that we're not too far away from that resistance line there from February at 0.92. We need to get an end-of-day close above that to then give us 1.35 and that January resistance line projection by the end of next month. At this stage, hoping that support will come in on the right side of 0.7 if there is any retracement. And I suppose you could also argue that with that rather funny spike that we had a couple of weeks ago, we also have bullish divergence here. So looking more constructive there on a technical perspective. Moving along to the situation at Mosman, which really has been the gift that keeps on giving in the recent past. Sharp rising trend channel there from back in April. Floor of the channel there currently around 0.043 and above 0.43. We're looking for 0.07, and hopefully we'll get that by the end of this month. Bounce for the RSI above neutral 50 is also a decent, strong indicator on that situation. On to PCIP, which is otherwise known as PCI PAL. Here we've got a situation where we've gapped up at the end of last week, a rising trend channel there from back in September. Top of the channel there at 80 pence, which we're looking for by the end of this month after the latest bear trap gap reversal. And ideally we stay on the right side of 60 pence while we're doing that. We previously had a target as high as 49 pence on Sareum and managed to overshoot that today, but to end of day close above that today or during the early part of this week, and we could be able to upgrade the target there up to 80 pence by the end of this month. But ideally we stay on the right side of 40 pence, whatever happens. We've had a RSI rebound above neutral 50, which explains the gap through the 200-day moving average today. On to the last two. The first one is Verici or Verici, and here you can see that we're just breaking that falling wedge. That's around 6.5 pence above that, looking for the top of that broadening triangle at 8.8 pence by the end of this month, backed by the rising trend line in the RSI window, which has been in place since the early part of last month. So we've got bullish divergence there. Finishing off with Warpaint, which has been a happy story, happier than many stocks on the London market. I think we saw the big breakout there through the 430, 450 zone, and rising trend channel there from December, top of the channel there at £8. And while we're above the June resistance at £6, that is where we think the shares could go by the end of August. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.